Every year, the global skincare industry sells over $50 billion worth of collagen creams, serums, patches, injections, and every year, the research on whether those creams actually work, when you go looking for it, is politely embarrassing. Here's the problem. Collagen is a large protein. Most topical products cannot get it through the outer skin barrier and into the layer where it actually lives and works. The skin simply blocks it. That's not a fringe opinion. That's basic dermatology. Meanwhile, most people I know are eating almost none of the foods that actually give the body what it needs to build collagen from the inside. From your late 20s onward, your body produces less collagen every single year. The structure that holds your skin firm, your joints supple, your tendons strong, it is slowly being built with fewer and fewer raw materials. The body is not helpless. It can still produce collagen, but only if you give it what it needs. Amino acids, cofactor minerals, protective compounds, specific foods. I went through 17 of them, foods that either deliver collagen peptides directly or supply the materials the body uses to manufacture its own. Some of these are already in your kitchen. Some of them most people eat zero of. And I want you to pay close attention when we get to number 14. It's the food our grandmothers ate every single week without a second thought, and that almost everyone stopped eating about 50 years ago. I think that timing is not a coincidence. 17 foods. I'll tell you exactly what each one does, and exactly how I prepare it. Nothing here replaces your doctor. I'm a retired nurse, not a prescriber. What I'm sharing is what the evidence says, and what 30 years of watching people taught me to notice. I'm Clara. Let's get into it. The fog was particularly thick the morning I first made a proper batch of bone broth. Not the stuff from a carton, I mean a long-simmered pot, 12 hours at least, with knuckle bones and feet and all the parts the butcher keeps behind the counter. My grandmother used to make it in a pressure cooker every Sunday. Was it her or her sister who added the apple cider vinegar? I can never quite remember. But either way, it was the vinegar that mattered, I learned later. Here's what bone broth actually is from a structural standpoint. When you simmer animal bones for a long time, the collagen inside the connective tissue, the stuff that holds the joints together, breaks down into smaller pieces called collagen peptides. Your digestive system recognizes these, absorbs them, and evidence from several clinical studies suggests the body can use them as direct building material for your own connective tissue, skin included. Think of it like this. Your skin is a brick wall. Collagen is the mortar. After 40, your body stops mixing as much mortar. Bone broth is like handing the bricklayer a fresh bag. It doesn't do the work for you, but it gives the body what it needs to do the work itself. One thing worth knowing, the gel. When a batch of broth cools and solidifies, when it gets that wobble to it, that's a sign of high collagen content. Thin, watery broth that stays liquid in the refrigerator? Less effective, nutritionally speaking. Here's how I make mine. You need 2 pounds of bones, knuckle, marrow, or feet work best. Knuckle has the most connective tissue, which means the most collagen. Roast them first. 400 degrees, about 30 minutes, until they're golden. This deepens the flavor and actually helps with nutrient release. Into a pot, they go with enough cold water to cover. Add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Don't skip that step. The mild acid helps pull minerals and collagen compounds from the bone. Simmer low and long, 12 hours minimum. I do mine overnight on the lowest setting. The longer you go, the more collagen peptides come loose. Strain it. Let it cool. If it gels, wonderful. That's your sign it worked. A cup a day, straight or in soups, is how most studies have administered it. There's a reason Pacific Northwest people have been eating salmon since long before anyone had a word for collagen. The body knew before the science did. Salmon, specifically wild caught, is rich in marine collagen. That's a particular type of collagen derived from fish skin and scales. And here's the interesting part. Marine collagen peptides are smaller than those from beef or pork sources. Smaller means they pass through the gut wall more efficiently. The body doesn't have to do as much work to use them. Think of it like passing through a screen door. The smaller pieces get through faster. Beyond collagen, salmon provides something that works alongside it. Astaxanthin, now that's a mouthful, I know. Let me explain what it actually does. Astaxanthin is the pigment that makes salmon flesh that deep coral color. It's also one of the most potent natural protectors against what I'd call internal rust, the oxidative damage that breaks down collagen fibers over time. Evidence from multiple studies indicates it may help slow that degradation. 2 to 3 servings a week is what the evidence generally points to. Wild-caught matters. Farmed salmon can have different nutrient profiles and may contain higher levels of certain contaminants depending on the feed. I like a simple preparation because I don't want to cook out the oils. Skin-on fillet. Room temperature for about 10 minutes before it hits the heat. Season with sea salt, black pepper, and a small amount of good olive oil. Nothing more complicated than that. Cook it skin side down in a cast iron pan, medium heat, lid on. About 8 minutes. You want the flesh to just turn opaque at the top. Pull it before it's dry. That's when you keep the beneficial fats. Now, eggs. Most people think about the yolk, all that golden nutrition, but for collagen support, it's actually the white and the membrane we should be paying attention to. Egg whites are a useful dietary source of proline, and proline is one of the key amino acids, the building blocks your body needs to manufacture collagen in the first place. They also provide glycine, which is the most abundant amino acid in collagen overall. Think of proline as a specialized brick that only fits in one wall. Your body can make some on its own, but it does a much better job when you're supplying it consistently through food. But here's the part most people throw away, literally. The thin membrane just inside the eggshell, that papery white layer you peel off when you hard-boil an egg. That membrane contains naturally occurring collagen, along with hyaluronic acid and chondroitin sulfate. In joint and cartilage research, this combination has shown some genuinely interesting results. Published randomized trials have found that supplementing with eggshell membrane reduced joint discomfort in participants within a matter of weeks. Now, that's joint tissue, not skin directly. But the same collagen types are involved in both, and the research direction is worth knowing about. For egg whites, I simply use them often, scrambled, poached, or mixed into a morning drink. 2 to 3 per day consistently will keep a steady supply of proline coming in. For the membrane, and I know this sounds odd, when you hard-boil eggs, peel them over a bowl and collect the membranes. Let them air dry for a day on parchment paper. You can crumble them into smoothies or warm broth, and honestly, you won't taste them. I grow kale and spinach year-round here. The kale barely even flinches at Oregon frost, as stubborn as anything, bless it. Here's why greens matter for skin specifically. Vitamin C. Your body cannot actually assemble collagen without vitamin C present. It's not optional. Think of vitamin C as the welder in the factory. Without it, the pieces of collagen chain never get fused together properly. They stay loose, incomplete. 1 cup of raw kale has more vitamin C than an orange. Most people don't know that. They're reaching for the orange juice while ignoring the greens in their garden. Spinach also provides chlorophyll, the green pigment, which preliminary evidence suggests may help protect the collagen in skin from UV-related degradation. That's still early-stage research, I want to be fair about that. But the vitamin C story is well established, and greens are one of the best ways to get it consistently. Raw is best for vitamin C because heat degrades it. I do a simple daily green smoothie or a big raw salad, 2 generous handfuls of spinach, 1 of kale. If you cook greens, and I do, often, a quick 2-minute steam is better than boiling. Boiling sends a significant portion of the vitamin C straight into the water you pour down the drain. I pick blueberries in August here. Oregon produces extraordinary ones, and I freeze enough to last the year. The rose hips I gather from my fence line in October, after the first frost softens them. Berries hit 3 different targets when it comes to skin support, and I want to be specific because it matters. First, vitamin C. We talked about that. Blueberries carry it, though rose hips carry significantly more. Gram for gram, dried rose hip is one of the most concentrated plant sources of vitamin C on Earth. Second, antioxidants, specifically a group called anthocyanins, which give blueberries their deep blue-purple color. These appear to protect existing collagen fibers from that oxidative damage, that internal rust I mentioned that breaks them down over time. Third, and this one surprises people, berries contain compounds that may help slow something called glycation. That's when excess sugars in the blood attach to collagen proteins and essentially stiffen them, like gluing your mortar before you've finished laying the bricks. Anthocyanins appear to interfere with that process. Based on current laboratory and early human evidence, rosehip tea is something I drink most mornings now. It's tart, a bit like cranberry, and, well, the creator really outdid himself with that little fruit. Something so small, hiding so much. Rosehip tea, 2 tablespoons of dried rosehips per cup of water. Pour water that's just off the boil, not a full rolling boil, over them. Steep for 12 minutes with a lid on to keep the volatile compounds in. Strain and drink. For blueberries, fresh or frozen, 1 cup daily, I add them to my morning yogurt or oatmeal. Frozen works just as well and sometimes better because freezing can actually break cell walls slightly and make certain antioxidants more available. Most people eat the citrus flesh and throw away or heavily trim the white pith, the spongy layer just inside the peel. That's a habit worth reconsidering. The flesh is valuable, vitamin C, obviously, but the pith is where you find a group of compounds called bioflavonoids, hesperidin in oranges, naringenin in grapefruit, and these appear to do something the vitamin C can't do alone. Hesperidin from oranges seems to support the health of the tiny blood vessels that supply nutrients to skin tissue. Naringenin from grapefruit has shown preliminary anti-inflammatory effects in tissue studies. Healthy vessels, healthy delivery system. When the pipes are working well, collagen-building nutrients actually reach the cells that need them. Think of it as maintaining the irrigation system in your garden. Doesn't matter how good the fertilizer is if the water can't get through. Oranges are the richest common source of hesperidin, most of it sitting right there in the pith we throw away. Grapefruit has its own related compound. Both are worth keeping. If you're on certain medications, blood thinners, some heart medications, or statins, check with your physician before significantly increasing grapefruit specifically. That interaction is real and worth knowing about. I slice oranges and eat them skin off, but with as much of the pith as I can tolerate. It's bitter, honestly, but I've gotten used to it. A thin sliver of the pith included. Alternatively, I make a citrus peel decoction. Wash 2 organic orange peels well. Simmer them gently in 2 cups of water for 20 minutes. The result is mildly bitter, a bit like a mild citrus tea. A small cup, 2 or 3 times a week. I grow about 40 heads of garlic every year. It's one of the workhorses of this garden. And for the skin specifically, garlic earns its keep for a reason that has nothing to do with flavor. Garlic contains sulfur compounds, allicin being the most studied, and garlic is also a source of sulfur-containing amino acids like cysteine. Sulfur is a structural component of collagen itself. Your body requires it to form the crosslinks that hold collagen chains together into stable fibers. Allicin gets most of the attention for garlic's health effects, but the sulfur amino acid contribution is what matters most for skin structure. Specifically, without enough dietary sulfur, collagen can form, but it doesn't hold together the way it should. It's a bit like trying to knit without enough yarn. The needles work fine. The pattern is right, but you run short before the fabric holds. Preliminary evidence also suggests garlic may slow the breakdown of existing collagen in skin by supporting certain natural protective compounds in the body. That research is ongoing, and I want to be clear, it's not definitive at this stage, but the sulfur story is well-established nutritional biochemistry. Crush it before you cook it. That step releases an enzyme that activates the main sulfur compounds. Let it sit for 10 minutes after crushing before adding heat. That's the window when the chemistry is happening. 3 to 4 cloves daily is what traditional dietary use and several nutritional studies have pointed to as an effective amount. I use it in nearly everything: soups, stews, roasted vegetables. Pumpkin seeds are one of those foods that I think get overlooked because they seem too ordinary, too close at hand. They're rich in zinc, and zinc does something specific in the collagen building process that people rarely talk about. Your cells contain little molecular machines that build collagen. They're called enzymes, but I'll just call them builders. Zinc is what powers those builders. Without enough zinc in your system, the collagen production machinery slows down significantly. The builders are still there, but they can't do their job. Most adults in the developed world are not severely zinc deficient, but a lot of people are what researchers call insufficient. Not deficient enough for clinical symptoms, but low enough that it may affect collagen turnover. Pumpkin seeds happen to be one of the most zinc-dense plant foods available. A small handful, about an ounce, or roughly a quarter cup, daily is sufficient to contribute meaningfully to zinc intake. I keep a jar on the counter and add them to salads, oatmeal, or just eat a few with morning tea. Lightly toasting them at low heat, 300 degrees Fahrenheit, about 12 minutes, enhances flavor without significantly degrading the zinc. High heat is what you want to avoid. This is number 9, and I said it would surprise people. The bones. That's the point. When you eat sardines or anchovies and you eat the whole fish, soft bones and all, you're consuming actual collagen-containing connective tissue, along with calcium, phosphorus, and marine peptides. As a nurse, I watched a lot of patients worry about calcium supplements that weren't absorbing properly. Bone-based calcium, the kind you get when you eat the actual structure, is already in a bioavailable form. Your body knows what to do with it. It's been doing it for a long time. The omega-3s in sardines also support the skin's surface barrier, the lipid layer that holds moisture in. Think of it as the wax layer on an apple. Healthy fats keep it intact. When that layer is compromised, skin looks dull and dry, regardless of collagen content. Sardines are affordable, shelf-stable, environmentally sustainable compared to larger fish. And honestly, the creator's provision sometimes comes in a humble little tin. I'm entirely serious. 3 to 4 tins per week. Eat the whole fish. Don't pick out the bones. The bones in canned sardines are entirely soft and fully edible. If the flavor is strong for you, squeeze lemon over them generously and add capers. It changes the experience completely. I keep anchovies specifically for cooking. A few filets melted into olive oil as a base for sauces and dressings. You won't taste them distinctly, but they add depth and deliver the same marine collagen compounds. I grow a dozen varieties of tomatoes. In late August, there are more than I can deal with, to be perfectly honest. Tomatoes are a significant source of lycopene, the red pigment, and lycopene has a specific, well-documented effect on the collagen story that's worth knowing about. Your body naturally produces enzymes that break down old or damaged collagen. That's part of normal tissue turnover. The problem is, UV exposure from sunlight can crank those breakdown enzymes into overdrive, essentially turning up the demolition crew, while the construction crew hasn't had time to rebuild. Lycopene appears to help moderate that UV-triggered breakdown. It acts as a kind of internal sunscreen, not replacing external protection, absolutely not claiming that, but offering a layer of defense from the inside. Several studies have documented that regular dietary lycopene reduces UV-induced skin reddening and markers of collagen degradation. And here's the important detail. Cooked tomatoes, particularly with olive oil, release significantly more available lycopene than raw tomatoes. This is one of the few cases where cooking a vegetable makes it meaningfully more potent. Slow-cooked tomato sauce 2 or 3 times a week covers the lycopene side of things well. Tomatoes, a generous pour of olive oil, low heat 30 to 40 minutes. Tomato paste is highly concentrated lycopene. 1 tablespoon added to soups, stews, or sauces is simple and effective. Avocado is one of those foods that became trendy for all the right reasons, even if the trend got tiresome. What matters here for collagen specifically is the fat profile and the vitamin E content. Avocado is rich in oleic acid, the same heart-healthy fat as olive oil. And this fat appears to play a role in how well the skin uses and maintains the collagen it has. The skin surface has a fat layer. That's what holds moisture in and keeps the surface supple. Oleic acid is a key component of that layer. When it's depleted, the skin surface looks fine-grained and dry. When it's well-maintained, the texture looks plumper, even if the collagen level underneath hasn't changed. Vitamin E in avocado adds the antioxidant element. It works synergistically with vitamin C. They tend to protect each other in tissue, meaning you get more benefit from both when they're present together. Half an avocado daily is sufficient. I mash it simply with lemon juice and a pinch of sea salt. No fuss. I eat it alongside eggs most mornings, which, as we already covered, provides the proline. That combination is working on 2 different levels at once. Walnuts are the only tree nut I know of that contains a meaningful amount of plant-based omega-3s alongside vitamin E and copper. And copper is one of those nutrients that almost never gets mentioned in skin conversations. Copper activates a specific builder enzyme, let's just call it the joiner, that connects individual collagen strands into larger, stable fibers. Without the joiner working properly, you produce collagen pieces that can't assemble correctly, like having all the materials for a fence but no one to nail the boards together. Almonds provide the vitamin E side of this equation, along with magnesium, which plays a supporting role in protein synthesis broadly. A handful of each, daily, covers both bases without any supplement required. A small handful, roughly 1 ounce total, of mixed almonds and walnuts daily. I soak mine overnight in water, drain, and eat them in the morning. Soaking reduces certain compounds that can interfere with mineral absorption, worth the small effort. Sweet potato provides beta-carotene, the same orange pigment in carrots. Your body converts it to vitamin A, and vitamin A is essential for skin cell turnover, the process by which old, damaged skin cells are replaced with new ones. Why does that matter for collagen specifically? Because new skin cells contain new collagen. Slow turnover means you're keeping damaged cross-linked collagen in place longer than necessary. Fast turnover, when it's working well, means the old structure gets replaced more efficiently. Beta-carotene is also fat-soluble, which means it's absorbed much better when eaten with fat. A roasted sweet potato with butter or olive oil is not indulgence. That's just good nutritional practice. I roast them whole at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 45 minutes. Skin on, there are additional compounds in the skin worth keeping. I split them open and add a small knob of quality butter. That's the whole protocol. I know, some of you just flinched. Bear with me for a moment. Liver is the single most nutrient-dense food that most modern Western diets have largely abandoned. And for collagen production specifically, it's almost absurdly well-positioned. Liver contains retinol, the preformed, immediately usable version of vitamin A, not the beta-carotene precursor. It contains copper in high concentrations, that joiner enzyme activator we mentioned. It has glycine and proline, the collagen building block amino acids, and it's one of the richest natural sources of B12, which is required for the cell division that produces new collagen-containing skin. Our grandmothers ate liver every week. Our great-grandmothers ate it more than that. We stopped, and I think we lost something nutritionally when we did. Once a week is sufficient for the nutritional purposes we've described. Slice it thin, about 1/4 inch. Soak in milk for an hour if the flavor is strong. That step draws out some of the bitterness. Pat dry, high heat, 30 seconds per side in a well-seasoned cast iron pan with good butter and onions. Don't overcook it. Overcooked liver is what turned most people off in the first place. Slightly pink inside means it's right. Legumes offer the lysine side of the collagen equation. Lysine is the 3rd primary amino acid needed for collagen structure, alongside glycine and proline, and it's one that plant-based diets can run low in. Lentils, in particular, are among the most lysine-dense plant sources available. They're also high in folate, which participates in the cell-level machinery that produces collagen proteins. I think of legumes as the quiet workers of the garden pantry. They don't get the attention of salmon or bone broth, but they're providing foundations. A cup of cooked lentils or black beans several times a week. I combine them with vitamin C sources. Lemon juice in a lentil soup, tomatoes in a bean dish, because the vitamin C helps with the overall protein absorption environment. Green tea is not the most dramatic entry on this list, but it earns its place because of what it does quietly, every day. It contains a group of polyphenols, EGCG being the most studied, that appear to inhibit the breakdown of collagen in skin by moderating those same overactive demolition enzymes that UV light triggers. Green tea also provides a modest amount of vitamin C and appears to reduce certain markers of inflammation that contribute to accelerated skin aging. It's not a primary intervention, but combined with everything else on this list, it adds up. 2 cups daily is what the research has generally worked with. Steep it at around 175 degrees Fahrenheit, not full boiling temperature, which can make it bitter and slightly degrades some of the more delicate polyphenols. I heat water until it's steaming but not boiling. There are small bubbles forming at the bottom of the pot, but no rolling boil. Pour over the leaves or bag. Steep 2 to 3 minutes maximum. Remove and drink. I add nothing, no sugar, no milk. We end where I think we should have started, in a way, with the oldest food technology human beings have, the long, slow simmer of tough cuts. Before the boneless, skinless age of modern grocery shopping, before everything came trimmed and portioned and convenient, people cooked with the whole animal. Feet, tails, necks, shanks. The cuts that most people now leave behind, those cuts contain enormous amounts of connective tissue, which is collagen. When you cook them low and slow for several hours, that collagen dissolves into the broth and the meat. The gelatinous quality of a properly made oxtail stew, that rich, slightly sticky texture, that's collagen in solution. Chicken feet are, pound for pound, one of the highest collagen sources available. They're an unremarkable-looking ingredient. They cost almost nothing, and they make the most extraordinary, intensely gelled broth I've ever produced. This is what our grandmothers and their grandmothers did. Nothing here is new. It was simply forgotten, and I think the forgetting cost us more than we realized. Low and slow. That's the whole method. Brown the oxtail pieces in a heavy pot with a little oil. High heat, 2 minutes per side, until caramelized. Add aromatics, onion, garlic, carrot, celery, then enough water or stock to cover. A lid on. The lowest possible oven heat, 275 degrees Fahrenheit, for 4 to 6 hours. You're looking for meat that separates from the bone. Skim the fat from the surface before serving. The remaining liquid should be rich and slightly sticky between your fingers. That's your sign that the collagen has dissolved in. 17 foods, most of them simple, most of them affordable. Several of them, things your great-grandmother probably had on her table every single week without once thinking about collagen. The skin you're looking at in the mirror, the texture of it, the way it moves, that is largely a reflection of what you've been eating and what your body has had available to work with. That's not fatalism. That's actually good news, because it means the inputs are within your reach. I want to be direct about something. None of these foods are going to undo decades of a specific deficiency overnight. The body works on its own timeline. What the evidence does suggest is that consistent, long-term supply of these cofactors creates the conditions for the body to do what it's designed to do. Start with 1 or 2. Pick the ones that fit your life. Maybe bone broth, if you're already roasting a chicken this week. Maybe a handful of pumpkin seeds with your morning coffee. Maybe just switching from no green tea to 2 cups. The garden taught me that patience and consistency matter more than intensity. A little, often, is how most things grow. If you found this useful, if there's something on this list that surprised you or that you're going to try, I'd genuinely love to hear from you in the comments. And I have a specific question I want to leave you with because I'm genuinely curious about your experience. Which of these foods have you already been eating consistently? And have you noticed any change in your skin over time that you'd attribute to diet rather than skincare? I ask because I think we've been trained to credit creams and rarely credit the fork. If this video was helpful, a subscription means I can keep researching and sharing what I find. I don't advertise supplements or sponsor anything, just the garden and the science and my old nursing notes. Now, you go take care of yourself. You eat well, you rest well, and God bless you. Truly, take good care.